Good morning everyone, and welcome to Dylan Russell playing Java Minecraft. So as usual, we are on Dadcraft73's Patreon server, and definitely worth giving him a check out. So today our plan is to grab a couple of shulkers and to head on out to a desert to be grabbing some sand for glass, as well as hopefully there'll be a mesa nearby and we can go and grab some of the terracotta that we're going to be using for the large armchair. So let's get this party started. Now, as usual, if there's any challenges with audio or the video stream, please do let me know. I've discovered in the last couple of days that my system gets half its bandwidth available when I'm actually trying to do two things at once, in game and stream, but that's totally fine. Just takes a little bit of working out the bugs. All right, so we've got one shulker box here, and let's dump anything we don't need. Paper. Some of these pieces that you're seeing me pop out of my inventory right about now are leftovers because I've been attempting to roll some of the villagers. And I moved a bunch of them from their little houses that we had in the village, and they're now kicking around in the library instead. And so that means that, of course, I don't need all of this stuff. Because oh, actually, I'll take those in case. Okay, what's one box? There's my shield. Okay, I'm not gonna need those. Shears. Yeah, you never really need shears in the desert. Okay, ditch some of the wood materials. Might help if I can hear the game too. There we go. Okay. More blurp 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 for me. Okay, let's these pieces put away. Shield. I don't need acacia wood. I don't think what I might need that for. Now, before we go, just because I have a bunch of junk to get rid of, I could just throw these things in lava. But I figure if I've got the pieces parts, so to speak, then, oops, not that one, then I might as well put things away or not put things away, take those old pieces and use them up while I'm out there. I can figure out, sorry, that's the shulker I want. Okay, I'm gonna grab some of these, make a few more boxes before we go. In all honesty, what am I going to do with them? Probably... yeah, that ought to do. That's far more boxes than necessary. Alright. So we're going to make ourselves some chests. Two. And some more planks. You can always use, let's go with this, two there. Yeah, they don't stack, so that is going to be a challenge. Good morning, Fantastic Sherlock Fox. Thank you very much for the heads up that everything sounds crystal clear so far. You're going to get a little bit of movement because it just looks like my microphone, sorry, has decided it's going to lean on me, so the boom arm is a little weak at the moment. I just have to play around with the settings, but I'm worried about making bump noises while I play. Okay, let's make a few more. Oh, I don't need... it's 1 and 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And can we get... yep, we can get 5 shulkers out of that. Now I probably should color them because I've got the flowers available to do it, but there's really not going to bother at this point in time. Okay. So let's start... oops. I opened that for a reason. Okay, let's start by throwing one of these down. Yeah, and we're going to load up on a bunch of the shovels and get them out of here. No, I need those. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 shulker of shovels and 1 shulker of picks. If it turns out I don't need them, I can always leave them behind and let them despawn. And what's this? Oh, that's the shovels. I just did that one. Alright, so let's see what we've got. We should have some picks and some more excess shovels. Okay, let's start with this pile of picks. Doo-doo-doo. Ambient electronica music. Not really suiting my style this morning, but none of the other options at the moment seem to be really striking my fancy, so we'll just go with that. What have we got here? Okay, that's empty, that's empty. Oh, I have more shovels than I can shake a stick at. I'm tired of them, so let's just get rid of all the shovels we can. Then I can use those barrels for something else. Shovel, 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 shovel. What else? Probably don't need those. Okay, we'll grab this pick and the last few shovels. Alrighty. So I've got a half-decent shovel, which I should probably consider fixing before I go, but I'm not going to really worry about it because once we get going here, I'm actually going to move it out of my inventory altogether. I don't end up using it by accident. So it turns out... So it turns out that because... Where am I here? Yeah. And each. There we go. Because of... Oh, I lost where I was at. It's okay. Well, a couple of things. From where... I can talk straight today and get my thoughts straight. Okay, so the mistake I made when I was in the Nether the last time, and the reason I wasn't actually able to take the train in the Nether, or the minecart train, go where I needed to go, was actually because I was trying to go to a place where the line was incomplete. So that would explain why I just got dumped back at the station. I did make a mistake by releasing the second minecart, but generally it was just because I was trying to go somewhere that didn't really exist. I've been advised that the line out to the desert is complete, so we'll just see if that is the case. And that should help a lot with getting things, or getting to where we need to go fairly quickly. And I know what I forgot, but that's okay. Maybe it's not okay. Let's see. Did I? No, that's gonna bug me, so I'm going to actually take a quick trip back. And what I had actually forgotten was torches, and I noticed I also did not bring any material to make more. So that's probably not worth it. There is a chance, Fantastic Sherlock Fox, based on the testing that we did yesterday, there is a chance that some of the audio buzzing you could be hearing, A, could be related to the rails, but B, more importantly, is if you're still testing on the same connection that I'm on, then there's a possibility that I actually may be eating it on you, which is something we have to keep an eye on because I really can't afford to be doing that if you've got business meetings. Yeah, so if the issue persists and we're on, what do you call it? Mobile or mobile data from your cell phone, then I would be a little bit more concerned, just because that would be two completely separate connections. Otherwise, there's a chance we could be sharing the same connection here. Might as well sleep away the night, just because I can. And good morning, Neon Traveler. Welcome aboard. Glad to see you. It's always amusing how the Twitch stats are never accurate for me. I was going to say good morning to multiple different viewers, but I actually have... It's only showing me one, but I can tell you I've got two. So, yeah. It's never accurate. And then I've got a few people that I don't recognize in here when I'd like to say good morning to. So it looks like we've got Academy Impossible. Good morning to you. We've got Extra More. Good morning to you as well. We've got Farming Girl. Good morning, Farming Girl. Hopefully you're enjoying this. Caxip06. I'm not familiar with that one, but good morning as well. And welcome in TC Terror. Glad to see you. And welcome back, Undiecraft. So I hope everybody's having a good day. And yeah, I probably said good morning to a bunch of bots, but better than not saying good morning to someone and risk having their nose out of joint, because that just is rude for me to be doing that. And I'm also thinking if I'm going to be in anywhere else other than here, I probably should take a bed. That would be a smart move. It wasn't just torches. Okay. Got extra picks. We've got weapons. We've got some food. Something has gone awry because I have another golem. Okay, I got beds. We should be good to go. Oops. Nope, I don't have a crafting table. How do I do that? I got more cats. Fantastic. Cats, cats, cats. Everywhere cats. Oh, looks like there was and is. Sir, do you have anything I actually want? No, no dripstone. Fish? No. Light gray dye. The only thing I don't have is cactus, and frankly, I don't care. So, are you a pain in the butt for the server? Probably. Goodbye. You're coming back for more? Oh, okay. Oh, I need to dispatch these llamas because I'm just... don't want you guys hanging around. You can spit at me all you like. It's not going to happen. Alrighty. Something I was going to do. Oh, crafting table. That's what it was. I know I've got some laying around, but if I can just make another, why not? 1, 2, 3, 4. And besides, I want to get rid of these. Alright, so now I've got a crafting table. We should hopefully be set. Oh, why do I need 31 fences? I don't remember picking those up. Okay, do I have everything now? Everything I could possibly think of. Yes, I do understand that, Leon. If somebody just wants to lurk anonymously, that's fine to do so. I just said hello, and if they don't want to respond, they don't want to respond. That's fine by me. It's a lot of etiquette learning for me, so I'm going to err on the side of covering at the moment, but yeah, you're probably right. If people don't say good morning, then they probably don't want to be called out at all. So sometimes I think before I speak before I think, which is very evident when I can't even get my words straight this morning. So let's try this again. Wow, so game audio is a little higher than I think I need, so I will probably just give that a quick nudge downwards. Okay, that seems a little bit better. Then we have a bit more of the music bleeding through. Okay, where are we trying to go? I'm going to assume... Ooh, we got here. There's an end cane. Oh, it's a... Yeah, okay, I know what that is. Sexy dudes. I don't know who that is, but I'm assuming that that might be our buddies online here. Speaking of which, who's online today? Yep, so it's just myself and Stoner Miner. Okay, it's desert. Try this one. Just before I hit that button, taking a quick look out here. Of course you can't open it. Right. Okay, this is the box that we had the other day from the... if I can remember correctly. Box I had the other day from... Yeah, there we go. The stream weekend, and I may come back and try and fix this hat placeholder, because there was one thing I hadn't bothered trying, and so that may be the solution to getting that thing to die. The big key for me is actually getting in the cart, because if I don't actually get myself in the cart, then I get very disorganized and hit another one, and then we end up with multiples on the rails, and that causes all kinds of problems. Yeah, people really do have the right to be lurking. I mean, there's nothing that says they have to be live at any time. I'm just learning as I go here. Besides, I mean, the alternative is I could just forget to say good morning altogether, and that's probably the best route for a while, just because I've got distractions as I'm setting things up here, going kind of squirrely, and want to make sure I don't miss anything. So there's far more critical things to be worrying about in the stream than saying good morning to people, such as hydrates and so forth. And squeaky chairs, if you heard that. Oh, it's probably my mess from the other day. Oh no! Oh no! Vexes, what a mess. I don't like vexes. Raid farm. So there's... Yeah, raid farms are great, but it's always a challenge when you get things like vexes, because you want those guys to go away fast. Oops. I have a little tiny bit of freezy going on in the game, so that is my end. If you guys get a freeze, if it freezes and sticks, let me know, but I've had a couple of really brief freezes on my screen. Sorry, I'm being a little quiet here because there's not a whole lot to say when one's riding the rails. I will admit the scenery is a bit lacking, but on the other hand, I'd rather have it lacking in mobs than having plenty of things like ghasts and so forth that want to shoot me. It's always kind of amusing to see what the mini-map thinks is below me. Speaking of the things that want to shoot at you? Yes. Okay, so according to this, we have a somewhat busted portal corner, but that's okay. I'm not the one who's going to go in and rat on you. What will be my high? Oh, weather-wise. Yes, weather report. So my high today is actually going to be a little bit nicer than it was yesterday. It was With wind chill in Celsius, it was only -20 today, which is quite nice. Currently, we're sitting at about -12. Oh, let's jump out of here. And which in Fahrenheit is about 10 degrees. So it feels like it's only about -18. I could have walked the kids to school today. Did not, just because I was disorganized. Oh, fall off an edge, okay. Did not because I was disorganized and did not get myself fully ready to rock and roll in time. But definitely could do it. Let's see. In Celsius, oh, actually our high today looks like it's going to be about -9 or approximately 15 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not too bad. We've got one of those weird places where they've got Chinooks, which means that the warm winds will actually cause everything to melt at this time of year. And the side effect of that is that we can get reports like it says chance of rain tomorrow with mixed precipitation later in the week. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's a surprise that we don't get more rain, or more ice than we actually do. Good place to start. Okay, well, let's get a bed out of here and just have a quick sleepy sleep. Ice roads. No, actually not ice roads as far south in our province. I don't think they have ice roads as far south as Arch Thunder, who's probably about 3.5 hours drive north of me. So what have we got? Ooh, exactly what I'm looking for. So sand near us. Actually, let's say sand to the west of us. And possibly a good place to check out the terracotta to the east. So let's try heading west first and just get ourselves a box of sand. And get rid of some of those shovels that we've got. I suppose while I'm here I should probably pick up a cactus or two. But I'll do that on the way out. I really don't need it right now. On the main map, there's a bit of a strange square feature around here, and I'm not quite sure why it looks like that. But I'm just going to get a little further away from the village before I decide I'm going to start digging holes. I'm taking down surfaces. What do we got? Oh, I overshot. Okay. There's probably furnaces and stuff purposely set so that... Aha! That'll be why it's square, because people are already mining. Okay. Yeah, although, speaking of your ice roads thing, though, I mean, there is... we do have ice roads, definitely, in parts of our province up north, up near Fort McMurray and north of that, because, of course, as you see on television, people do need their supplies way up north. I mean, like, I've got a friend who has probably a very unnecessary toy. He lives in well, I was going to say Iqaluit, but no, that's totally wrong. Cambridge Bay, Nunavut is where my friend lives. And he's got himself a 3D printer. So, I mean, one could say that that's totally frivolous and not a useful supply, but it's actually interesting because he explained it to me at one point that one of the reasons he got it was because sometimes when you ask for things to be shipped up there, you've got no idea when or even if the supplies are going to arrive. And so sometimes if you can make something with his 3D printer, then he can get things up there in a more timely manner. For example, his wife loves to do gardening, and she does potted plants all year round in their house, which may seem kind of odd that far north. She used to be one of the, don't know if it's directors or something, but anyways, she was one of the people managing the orchid gardens and such at, what's it called? I want to say Mutar, but no, that's a museum. Anyway, but a large orchid, or a large horticultural location in Edmonton before they moved up north. And so she still loves to do that kind of thing up north, but she can't get the pots that she needs, particularly when she wants to have them auto water from the side. It's one of those things that they've tried ordering in the past, and sometimes the pots come up broken. So in this case, it's actually a little easier for him to collaborate with other designers to get the 3D printing designs for the pots he needs for her. and then they can just print them on demand as she needs them. That makes it easier because then they can just order the other things if they want fertilizer or special seeds or something like that. But also, I mean, I think he does other types of printing as well. I don't know if he's got one of the metal type prints. I know he's got a computer CNC machine, so I know he's done some metal cutting with that, and that has helped in cases where he's actually had just a need for a small part because something has worn out, and he's able to make a metal one or 3D print a plastic one to hold the space until he can get the metal one ordered in, which has helped him stay a lot more productive. So so that's one of those cases where ice roads are really helpful. For him, they wouldn't actually be able to ice road the tail end of the route all that often, just because he lives actually on the southern edge of the largest island, directly north of the majority of Canada. So, for example, like we think of, there's Baffin Island, and he's not on that one. I guess maybe it's one of the second largest, I guess. But he's not on the Greenland side. He's more to the west of that. And yeah, so it's just harder to get things up there. And it's one of those ones that's more remote. So sometimes in other parts of the year, they'll have the ground be boggy and soggy, so that they actually can't have an ice road. And those are the times of year when things need to be totally flown in. But it's kind of funny because by having friends that moved way up north like that, I actually have a new appreciation for some of the television shows where they're doing ice road truckers or ice pilots, I think is the other one that they've got. I can't remember if that's the Canadian one or if that's the American one from Alaska. But there's a Canadian one that's running old green and silver cargo planes, and they had a TV show off that one as well. But I guess what I'm saying is I have a new appreciation for it because I actually know people that live up there, and it's harder for them to get things. So it's a bigger deal when they've got to come south and visit. But which also reminds me, though, if I can actually keep up my streaming, then I may end up going through coffee a little bit quicker, but also I've got some herbal teas made with lichen from the eastern coast of Canada, from Newfoundland and Labrador, and some up north. And they get packaged. I think they get packaged in Quebec. In any case, some nice. They're made off of native plants and things like lichen and so forth. But the teas are actually quite good, and they're definitely caffeine free without that ultra mild herbal edge that you sometimes get on other types of teas. So that's something that I'll probably be switching to. Water's great. I actually love a good room temperature water, but it doesn't go with everything. And sometimes we have water, or actually I shouldn't say sometimes, the vast majority of the time we have water with our meals, just partly because it goes with everything, but partly because in our house we're largely lactose intolerant, which means that it's really not worth it for us to drink milk with our meals, but also that when we are having milk, it would just be we don't consume a whole lot of it, I guess. It's probably that, and if that's the only thing I'm having at the meal that's got dairy in it, then it's really not worth spending all the cash to be doing like lactate drops and stuff like that just to get away from having to worry about the milk. Trust me, unfortunately, I'm one of those people that you don't really want to live with if I've had too much dairy. I get cranky. I guess that's part of it, because I just get cranky. But suffice to say that it's nice to have alternative things to do. I'm also a fan of the, what do you call it? Bubbles? Okay, there we go. I'm also a fan of the water flavors. So Gatorade is cool, but I also like things like Mio's. And I'm trying to remember the other ones. There are some flavored ones from like Country Time and so forth. And they are really yummy, in my opinion. I do quite like those. I just have to be careful what bottles I use them in, because the flavor does tend to stick around. And so if I've got too much of... Oh, wrong one. If I've got too much of that sticking around, then I... Actually, why am I doing that? Whatever. We're here. Then when you go to put it in another container, or if you go to add a different flavor than you had to start with, then it's going to mix badly. So I just find I have to be careful with those because they can be kind of strong. On the other hand, the country time ones, for example, for lemonade, are just never strong enough. So yeah. I'm a fan of sweet teas as well, as the Americans would say. So in Canada, we just usually refer to it as iced tea because all our iced teas are sweet up here. If you want American unsweetened cold tea, then that's often how we refer to it. It's a little more of a US thing. But I will admit, if you're going to not have it sweetened in any fashion, I would sort of agree with the comment I heard from a British friend recently, was simply, why? Why even drink it cold in the first place? So, you know, to each their own. On the other hand, I mean, that said, I've had a sun tea that's been waiting to be made for quite some time. And I'll probably do that this summer. So, I mean, you can make sun tea with regular tea bags, but I've actually got a herbal one that's meant to be done as like a plant shape, and it looks a little bit like a tiny tumbleweed. And then when you put it in water and just let it sit, it gives you tea, but it also uncurls and looks really beautiful. I've got a glass, well, actually, Fantastic Sherlock Fox has a glass teapot that would be really nice for that. Really nice for doing the sun tea out of, because then you get to see it expand. Ooh, bedtime. They do not want friends. So yeah, some alternatives to the coffee, but it's actually kind of funny because when I'm streaming or even just simply distracted by my computer, I tend to forget that I've got all these things I can do, or I tend to forget that I've got tea that's Fantastic Sherlock Fox's brewed, or I've got, I don't want two of those. Or I've got more coffee. I mean, often I just forget to refill my coffee mug. So yeah, that shows that I can get a little distracted and squirrely, and once I get really into something, sometimes it's hard to dig me out. I mean, for example, the earbuds that I'm using right now had not been charged prior to usage, and so they've just given me the wireless little sound that says they're going to disconnect on me any moment. So I will probably, when that happens, I'll take a really short break and plug in some new ones. But it's one of those, got distracted doing a technical stream just to make sure the sound was working properly, and didn't think about the fact that the earbuds that I was using wouldn't last through the whole stream if I did that. But news on that front. It really bothered me yesterday when my abduction did not work. We were getting really bad video and really bad audio, and it wasn't just the scratchy audio that's meant to be in the game. So what I've done since then is dropped the graphics on the game to be as absolutely low quality as possible. Actually, kind of for testing purposes, I'm running with the lowest audio quality in the game as well. At the moment, it doesn't seem to be super detrimental. Now, I will admit my benchmark to compare it to is, like, for example, Minecraft, but also that my other benchmark to compare it to is Abduction is from the makers of the Myst series games. And so the graphics that I'm looking at are actually not any worse than either playing Minecraft or playing, well, maybe a bit worse than Minecraft right now. I could poke them a little bit, but they're not any worse than playing the original Myst game when it first came out, or even the Real Myst series, the Real Myst re-release of the original game. And the 25th anniversary Real Myst one, probably about the same, because that was the one I've seen most recently. but it's not horrible, and the textures are still quite nice. They don't go super duper blocky. I think you just miss a lot of the anti-aliasing edging. But between those two things, the audio seemed to be better, the video seemed to be better. I've also changed the resolution I was playing at on my computer. Rather than having everything get downscaled to force it to the size I stream at, I just decided to change the window size I was playing at so that it wouldn't have to work so hard in the first place. Good morning, Brian Stoner Miner. How are you doing? I gather that you were hanging out at a raid farm, and the Vexes got you. I'm not sure how common that is. Are the Vexes something that tend to leak out of a raid farm, or is it one that your raid farm's more manual and you've got to swipe the characters yourself? Because I don't have a whole lot of experience with raid farms. I've got a great spot near me to build one, but I actually don't have a whole lot of experience with even using them. Oh. Okay, so one of my earbuds has just dropped out, so that I'm solo or mono-sided, and that's bugging me just a little bit. So I'm just going to quickly slip to the Be Right Back screen and get myself a new set going, and I'll be right back online. Well, let's see if that works any better. The audio does not like me. I'm thinking it's probably something to do with my OBS setup. If I have to switch sounds mid-game, then, or mid-play, then it just does not want to change its output source, no matter what I want to set things to. So at the moment, I've got no sound in the game, but that's okay. Yeah, you heard a couple of sounds of me doing things like, or trying to mine sand in the game intentionally. I was hoping it would come through on my headset, but unfortunately it did not. So we'll just hope that we don't have anything sneak up behind us. And because if one's paying attention properly, you shouldn't have too many people behind you, too many mobs. Besides, that would make it more interesting for everybody else if I pick the bucket by not hearing something come up. I mean, as long as it's not a creeper, it's not a big deal. I'm glad everybody else can hear both. I'm not, but that's just the way the game, just the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose. Basically what happens in my audio setup is that it's whatever source I pick before I open OBS, and then I'm stuck with it. So that's one of those ones I'll troubleshoot in the future, because if I actually had properly working headphones for the whole length of stream, then I wouldn't have to worry about switching in the middle, and that's why it's one of those items that's not worth me troubleshooting at the moment. And besides, we're just here to get some sand. We will let you know. Yep, you will. Good morning, CJ. I dug you out of the dust. You were hiding in the fog, right? And there goes a tool. Right. And yes, I know I could be mining this a lot faster with one of my other tools, but just I've got these shovels to get rid of, so I might as well. Besides, it gives me more chance to talk to you guys. How am I doing? Oh, I've got one more shovel. Okay, so I can take off another layer. And now I've got myself jumping at shadows. That's great. Just lurking and building. Well, you're always welcome to lurk and build. I mean, we had a minor conversation earlier on about lurkers and the fact that I have a bad habit of calling them out, so I'm going to try and just say good morning only to those that have said hello to me, and apologies if I miss somebody. Just the result is that Pretzel Rocks is still huge on my screen, so until I find something that makes me happy audio-wise overall, I will not be paying for another service. So, yeah. Just exploring what else is available free out there, but once again, if I've got something that works and it'll do, then I'm more worried about game and voice sounds for the time being. Besides, I'd actually like to at some point have a stream where I don't talk at all about technical for a change. That'd be nice. It's funny actually, sometimes I'm finding myself between this game and Abduction. The run key is different. So in Minecraft, the default for running is either to double press your forward button on PC, or or else you can hold down Control while you're pressing your forward button. But in Abduction, the button that you would use in Minecraft for crouch Shift is actually your run while holding your forward button sort of key. So I keep forgetting which one's which, and so you may see me crouching for no particular reason in Minecraft, just because my brain is still in the abduction mode from the previous stream. But on the other hand, did you drop anything interesting when you died, Mr. Skeleton? Oh, and I see a creeper else over here. So basically, I'm just getting myself key reminded. I also took the time this morning to take off a couple of my special keys. I actually had different keycaps on. I have different keycaps on some of my gaming keys because you're going to play them more often, so they've got almost like a diamond texture pattern on the plastic, and that's, of course, one, to make it more visible because it's actually a different color than the rest of the keyboard, but also that it's got a bit more durability by having the extra pattern because it's got more to wear off. However, I'm just about full. Okay, however, a couple of the keys I had switched. I turned out not to be using as much as I thought I would be, and I switched them back to their regular keycaps just because I found that I was mispositioning by... Nope, you can go away. I said you can go away. Away, away. Thank you. I go talking about creepers and then they show up. Fantastic. In any case, when was I here? Oh, but I don't use those keycaps all that often. Let's dump some stuff. I don't mind having more gunpowder right now. Yeah, so because I don't use the keycaps that often, I was getting myself mispositioned on the keyboard far too frequently, so I'd be wanting to move forward and instead opening my inventory. And definitely not necessary. So I figured I would switch them back, and so far it seems to be working out pretty well because then I can use more peripheral vision to get things back where they should be. And that means I'm not trying to run away from a creeper like that and instead opening my inventory, which gives him enough time to blow me up. Wow. I've got my Stream Elements command figured out, or the timer figured out for the Dadcraft73 Bedrock server players. And just didn't realize till I just looked over my shoulder here how long that particular one is. So I might end up having to break that one up. I've seen a few of the other Bedrock streamers from Dadcraft server break them up to be 1 or 2 at a time. The rest from your keyboard, yeah, the rest of your keyboard breaks faster than the game keys you use. I actually do find that the game keycaps are physically built more durable. But I mean, one of the other things I've done here is I've if I can remember correctly. Oh, pardon me. Is I've put dampeners on the keyboard. So I've got little rubber dampeners underneath. And I've found it, when I've used friends' keyboards in the past that actually had dampeners on there, the little rubber rings, I did seem to get, or they did seem to find a little bit extra life out of it by doing that. I wonder if it just protects the stem of the key itself. But I will admit, I have not ever actually worn through keys on a keyboard. But Fantastic Sherlock Fox has definitely worn the letters or numbers off some of his keyboards. Fine. Too many shovels. Yeah, so by wearing the keys off the keyboards, then... oh, that's the wrong one. Then of course sometimes you can get yourself pretty lost. I mean, if you're a good typer, you're going to know what's what, so to speak. But yeah, a lot of those typers have just worn things right away. Let's put that on the end. That's the shovels one. Shovels, shovels, and more shovels. What if I... Goodness gracious. Let's put one down and see if it has something other than shovels in it. No. Okay, there's one without shovels. How about I do? Where was I? Okay, over here. If there's anything left that hasn't despawned. There we go. I should see your old game controller. What did you do? Wear off all the labels? It's funny, I used to think that it was sort of silly that some of the game controllers from makers like Xbox either had the letters or shapes embedded right in, meaning like that it's a clear one with the lettering inside it, or if they had the keys that were always colored. And I always thought that was odd because nobody, I say nobody, but a lot of games don't reference the colors that you're working with. And so I didn't really see any reason for them to be coloring the keys. But I suppose if you've worn off stuff, you're going to over time have figured out what the colors are with relation to the letters that used to be on the keys. Your Microsoft Surface keyboard is doing well. No wear and tear yet. Yeah, I can imagine that one might be okay because it is a bit... You don't use your personal computer as near often, that's the word, as you do with your work machine. But I've seen some of your work machines by the time you upgrade to the next one, some of the keys are getting a little shiny. I've never seen anybody with worn down joysticks, actually. That's a new one to me, CJ. Highly normal, I suppose. But I've never seen somebody who's actually worn down the joysticks before. I don't want to fall in a hole. Okay. But one of the other things, though, when you've got a work machine, like Fantastic Fox does, by the time things start to get really shiny and worn down, he's already had some other reason to request a new machine from the company. So they haven't yet made him stick with the old one. Usually those are laptops. I mean, laptops get a lot of mileage on them before they wear out their keys. I think for some reason I think the makers assume that if you've got a laptop, you're going to be doing a fair amount of mileage with the keys. So some of them, rather than having it printed flat on the key, they'll have it raised a little bit. I think the idea is that it's going to last longer, but the truth is I think that actually makes them wear faster. I don't expect the ones on my gaming keyboard for the regular typing part to just wear out all that quickly, because that's one of the few advantages to a backlit keyboard, is that a lot of that part of the key is either made with a different plastic that's more translucent, or else you're finding that by being see-through, it just lasts a little bit longer. So even if the top gets all shiny, the whole key has to basically wear an entire hole in it before you're going to have problems. But, I mean, the other thing, though, is I tend to spread some of my gaming out. I mean, right now my favorite is to game on PC. Part of it is because I'm doing the streaming, but also it's just a comfortable environment because I've got large monitors to work with. Yes, that's monitors plural. But on the other hand, there's a fair number of games that can be played with a controller connected to your PC, either directly via cable or over Bluetooth. I mean, like, for example, I've paired an Xbox controller to my computer for when I'm playing Ancestors, The Humankind Odyssey. But I haven't actually used it for something like Minecraft. A lot of people say it's super, super easy. I didn't grow up with console games. So first console that I've ever owned into my own name was actually a Wii. Like the original Wii, white unit with the great big remote controller shapes. And Fantastic Fox had to go stand in line to try and get one for me in time for my birthday that year. So that was kind of cool. It was a very nice surprise. But so I haven't owned one myself. And I guess the result is that I'm just not as familiar with playing with things like with a controller. And so I guess I could use opportunities like this sort of thing just to get used to breaking blocks and picking up blocks and so on, and doing some of the builds. I just haven't really put in the time, and no one really has managed to successfully convince me that one's better than the other in Minecraft. But I mean, there really isn't a better than the other, I suppose. It's just everybody's playstyle is different. I do wish that I had... Yeah, I would like to get used to doing it via controller. Part of the reason I'm interested in that is because there are a fair number of mobile games I play as well that are also controller friendly. And so if I'm more used to the controller on the PC, then I could play it on the mobile. The other thing is that I've got a relatively, I mean on our home network, a relatively fast remote desktop solution for connecting to my desktop PC from the mobile, so I could theoretically sit and play in a different part of the house and play the same game. And if I was more comfortable with a controller, I think that might be a bit more of a viable solution. But the on-screen controls, when you're remote connected to your PC, for some of the games I play, are really quite janky. Oh. So how was Minecraft in VR, Brian? I'm quite curious, because we've got an Oculus Rift, or not Rift, we've got an Oculus unit, and I'm quite curious to try it, but the thing is, a lot of games can make me motion sick, and so while I think it'd be really cool to try and be first person in something like Minecraft, I'm a little bit concerned that the perspective would take a lot of jigging back and forth and tweaking to make it not give me a motion problem. So I figured it probably just wasn't worth it. So it looks really cool and blocks are huge. I assume the blocks probably would be. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the math, if you want to try and do something to scale, is basically a block is about a meter by a meter by a meter, right? So it's a meter cubed. And in school when I was a kid, we talked about how for our current sort of set of generations, when I was a kid and our parents and our kids now, that the doors we use are not, I mean, one can ballpark a door being approximately 2 meters high. So if I was to look over here and think from the floor to roughly about halfway up, so we'll say roughly the doorknob, that's about a meter, or closer to, you know, about a yard. So I mean, even if you whether it's you say a yard or a meter is relatively irrelevant for the purposes that we're talking. And so the blocks would be huge if they were that big, you know, and it makes sense that a door is only 2 blocks high, because if you think about it in comparison, then a real life door is 2 meters high. Okay. Yeah, I can imagine not wanting to ride minecarts in VR. For one thing, the speed is not very realistic, and you'd probably be clipping a fair bit in terms of sometimes when things get a little janky, freeze up for a split second and then release, that you might have an awful lot of difficulty with your inner ear accommodating that. Okay. And you can jump, well, I don't know if you can jump that high. I mean, possibly with jump boost on a beacon, but I don't know about you. I'm not very successful at jumping 2 blocks high on a regular basis. Could just be that I'm a bad jumper. I mean, I have worse hops than DC. So if DC's got no hops according to Mahaku, then I suppose I've got even less hops than that. This white woman can't jump. Okay. That should give me a bit more space to work with. Not a whole lot, but it'll do. You know, I really should get myself a video clip for Babe, the movie about a pig who can herd sheep just because he's friendly and nice to them. But just because every time I keep thinking that'll do, I keep thinking either that movie, because the pig did a good job, or a video clip for Shrek when he's saying "That'll do, donkey," because I really can't do a Scottish accent, and even if I could, that's just what gets stuck in my head when I think of those phrases, and yet I use them anyway. But the idea of jumping 2 meters first person would be kind of cool. So yeah, there's some games I would like to try in VR. The Oculus actually in our house sort of belongs to Fantastic Shock Fox. I mean, truthfully, he's the one that bought it. I would not have bought one if he wasn't interested. Like he's definitely the major user of it. I don't think I've actually tried it yet, but he's got a few games that I would have an interest in. Like, for example, he did pick up Myst in VR. I think he said he picked up. Anyway, so that's one I'd like to try, just because that's a world I would love to get into in first person. It's one of those things I used to fantasize about when the games came out. One of the other things I'd like to try is he's got a version of a game called The Room. It's one of those, like, it's kind of a locked room mystery, but this one's more of a mystery for a change. The earlier ones in that series are mystery and supernatural all rolled into one. You don't get any creatures or anything like that, nor do you see any other humans, but there's notes left all over the place, and there's an implication that there's some sort of supernatural powered individual in behind what's going on. So those are quite fun, and I probably would like to try that in VR, although maybe not the supernatural versions. Just by doing what they do, that doesn't make any sense. But by setting up the way they do, the game does have a few jump scares, because when something has changed in the room in a big way, sometimes they'll do stuff like crack the thunder and accompany it with lightning and stuff. And it's not necessarily done as a revelation that something has changed, but it's just that you'll turn around and suddenly there's like a big wall with like serpent tentacles hanging through it. But they're not actually trying to grab you, they're just sitting there. They weren't there, 3 seconds before. Yeah, the do keep up on the news on that one, Brian. From what Fantastic Sherlock Fox tells me is that supposedly in future there is the ability coming to do Oculus games without a Facebook account. The other thing I've heard some people do is they've set up a separate Facebook account that does nothing except their games. So really, if somebody wanted to learn something about that person, all they would know is potentially their email address and that they like a particular style of game. But because Facebook does not limit you to only one account. Fantastic Sherlock Fox, what did you mean by meta in that particular context? I think I said something and then promptly forgot about it. Yeah, playing tower defense games on a table in front would be awesome. The other thing actually I did like via Facebook account is I'm actually quite curious about their new in-person play style, so that you can actually look. It's like a chat room, but basically it's using your motions that the Oculus is capturing to determine how you move. A bit like one of those what it calls Memojis from Apple. So there's another streamer that uses Memojis for their head. I believe it's Swanky Potato, and he uses that. But how that relates in this one is I'm kind of curious about the Facebook one, because one of the examples that I've seen in their demos, it wasn't actually a pre-set up demo, like it was involving staff from Adam Savage's Tested YouTube channel, and they just got to play with it. But it was showing them things like how you could play chess on a table with somebody from somewhere else on the planet, and you guys are both sitting there in virtual 3D having a conversation while you're sitting there playing chess. I thought that was kind of cool, and there's supposed to be other games like that just happened to be the one that they had picked. Oh, I see what you mean. Meta being the new name for Facebook. Honestly, I think personally it was a really stupid name change. I can see what they're getting at, but they want it to be sort of your life is well, I was gonna say permeated by Facebook everywhere. The thing is, if it's going to be such a privacy leak, and I generally more or less treat it like a sieve. So I've got Facebook, but my assumption is that just about anything or everything I could learn on there is a confirmation bias. So I see what I want to see, and if I don't like it, then I can shut it off and never see it again. Or B, that anything I post there, I have to assume is basically instantly blared to the hills, and everybody could know it. So, no. I have some pictures of my past and stuff on there, but aside from a couple of ones that I've posted and that other people have posted of me as a very small youth, there really isn't much of anything on there of late that I would really care if anybody knew. And that's basically my approach to Facebook these days. If I actually could get away with getting rid of my Facebook account altogether, in terms of actually reading it, I would. I don't mind using it as a login service, kind of like Google is everywhere these days, when it comes to logins. But unfortunately, Scouts Canada and a lot of the associated groups of Scouts Canada have chosen to have Facebook pages. And so there's monitoring of my group's Facebook page to do, plus our national stuff. There's a lot of what would be basically done as a forum. They're doing it on Facebook instead. I can kind of see why they might, because it's already out there. But if I didn't have to deal with that service, I definitely would not be. So let's sleep through the night here and see if I can avoid getting... Where was I? I don't think I really care. Okay. So let's sleep through the night. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think before I get myself rolling again. Okay. Yeah, I was looking to not have skeletons and no creepers. That's what it was. More coffee doesn't help. Although you'll hardly ever hear me use this excuse. I am a natural dark blonde. It's not a very nice dark blonde. It's sort of a ugly, dirty blonde. But it does the trick. And when I was younger, it was actually like almost, strangely enough, for lack of a better descriptor, almost mayonnaise blonde. And so I used to get all kinds of teasing about, do you bleach your hair? And it's like, no. And now it's so dark that a lot of people even call it light brown. But sometimes I go, yep, I'm a blonde. It's okay. I forget things. And yeah. Stereotypes. It's funny because on the one hand, I don't like stereotypes. On the other hand, I will admit I use them when they apply to me in a truthful sense. Doesn't mean that we're always like that, but so I'm open-minded. I do try to look past a lot of stereotypes. Now, one of the things that I find I've done or said is sometimes I'll think something's funny, and then I find out after the fact that it's offensive to some group or other, and then I feel really bad about thinking it was funny in the first place. So if that sort of thing ever slips out on stream, please do bring it to my attention. I don't necessarily want to bubble wrap the stream and make it completely cushy and clean and sparkly all the time, but I'm doing my best not to drop cusses or make fun of major groups or anything like that. It helps me practice. That's part of it. So Stoner Miner says, I completely banned Facebook and all its apps and services out of my life. It's not only the privacy, but also that they don't give anything about their users, and they don't take any responsibility for the hate and the people that they hurt with their algorithms. Very true. And that's why if I only had to use it as a login service, then I would have no problem. Right? So that's really what I'm okay with using it for. But that's not what it does, right? So you're right that they actually have a lot of practices that business-wise I wouldn't agree with. As I said, because I'm stuck with it, I might as well make more use of it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I support it. Like, I try and avoid games where that's the only way to play them. The exception being something like an Oculus, because it's such a cool device, and it wasn't originally made by or created by, at least not the idea of it, I guess. I mean, Microsoft had their own goggle set for a while and so forth. So it's not, I mean, there are other ones too. I can't remember at the moment. There's a whole bunch of people out there who've made 3D goggle headsets, and it just happened to be the one that worked best for our needs was the one that requires a connection with Facebook. As I said, please do stay on top of that, because if it does come to fruition saying that you don't need a Facebook login and you can do these things standalone, at least some of the games, then that would be quite nice. I mean, if you think about it, in a weird sort of way, yes, Facebook is a bit of an evil monster of sorts. On the other hand, or on another hand, I guess, that, that they are, what's the word I'm looking for? We know for sure that they don't bother checking their facts. I mean, it's funny because I've seen people on Facebook who are on Facebook and claim to be part of the staff, though it's fairly clear they aren't. I've seen people like that who have tried to argue when somebody posts a link from somebody who does fact check, or even some of the fact checking sites like Snopes, for example. It's not a perfect solution. I mean, those ones aren't, the only option out there. Okay. So it's funny when people do that sort of thing. Oh, we just see another one of our server mates has jumped aboard. So we may see a bit of chatter going back and forth in server chat, but that's okay. I'm not going to be one of those streamers that says, no, you can't do that while I'm on stream. It's not my server. And even if it was, I'm not that kind of person. People can talk about whatever they want. And with whom while they're online. You know, that's part of the joy of being on a community server. Anyway, yeah. You know, it's kind of funny because Neon mentions WhatsApp, and I used to use WhatsApp back in the day, so to speak. It was partly through obscurity, but it was basically the signal of its day. And yet it became worse and worse, not because its technology changed, but that its technology didn't update. And now that it's owned by Facebook, I'd be less inclined to return to it. To be honest, I miss the days of Pigeon. I used to actually have Pigeon running off a USB key on my desktop at work. At work, we actually had a completely different chat system, but yeah, where is it? Oh, more than I needed. Whatever. We had a completely different chat system at work, but I had a bunch of stuff running off a USB key, and at one point, wasn't even that I got caught by the boss. One of the tech staffers said, "Oh, by the way, you do realize you can do things that you want to do. Just make sure that you get your other work you're supposed to do done." And I didn't at the time really figure out what he meant by that. Turns out what he really meant was that I'd been seen and he didn't care. So that was in my favor. But yeah, I had WhatsApp on my phone, and I had... Actually, the original reason that showed up was because I was a tech support for an internet service provider who was the lead tech support for Apple products at the time. And so some of the most popular ones that the Apple users were using, and then wanting to know if they could email out to their accounts through us, or wanting to know why their internet did this, that, or the other thing. Which color? That's not it. So I'm trying to look for the most default color of terracotta, and I can't off the top of my bean remember which one that is. So, yeah. Guess we'll just grab a whole bunch of everything. I mean, I'm probably gonna need it at some point, because I do tend to like the color scheme that we have with terracotta. It just feels a little richer. What is that? What have we got over here? I'm tearing in from the roof, as long as I've got some idea I'm going to be tearing in too. Brown's not brown. Brown, like that top layer up there, actually is a brown terracotta. I mean, there's always the option I just pull one block of each, and if I don't like it, I'll just throw it out. It's kind of sort of a funny orangey brown color, I know, as the default. I think it's this kind here, as opposed to like the more chocolatey one up top. Let's do quick test. So we've got that. What is that? Orange terracotta. Okay. Correct. Call me corrected. This one? I mean, in truth, I really could just... Aha! There we go. Okay, so I want this sort of darker terracotta colored one, right? The one that looks a lot like, well, one that looks a bit like flower pots. Yeah, it's better. Because that would give me this one. Yep. Because that would give me the maximum number of options when it comes to doing terracotta, because then rather than wondering if I run out of the right stuff, I just have blank and dye it as I need it. Okay. There's a very chocolatey one up top. So I'm gonna probably get up there. But one of the other reasons I wanted to come out to the Mesa and have a look around, see about getting the right colors, is because it gives me a few different ideas on what some of the color schemes could be if I go with this route for the large armchair. I know I'm using faithful textures, but even without those, I think I still like the sort of default texture that one gets in the terracotta look, because I'm looking at sort of something that's like a big leather armchair, and I haven't seen anything else I liked better that gives me that type of texture look. So we are mining quite slowly, but once again, this is because I have a whole bunch of those stone picks to get rid of. And, I mean, it does get tedious, but it also references my to-do list in terms of, I have not yet gone to the nether, so I'm wearing all diamond. But that's okay, I guess, because it does what I need it to do. It saves my bacon in most cases, and I'm not in the nether to get blown up by things that are liable to be more painful. Okay, let's go up and see how high this is. And potentially dig down. Nope. I might as well grab the other stuff while I'm here. I'll get most of what I want. I'd love to say I love mining the terracotta, but actually right now I can't even hear it, so we'll just keep on going. If I really cared that much, I could test it on a different sound feed in the future. Or like just put it down when I can hear the game and then mine it back up again. I mean, it's not... That's silly. But ASMR of... Ow! ASMR of terracotta mining was not the intent of the stream, you know. Fallout side effect, sure. So there's the one that's definitely not plain terracotta. That's the chocolatey brown look, and I might end up going with something like that for the armchair. I'm still not sure yet. Because the reference pictures I've managed to find on the internet for the chair I like are showing something sort of a red leather dyed color, which might be more of the, not the reddish one here, but possibly the actual color of this stuff there. I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, maybe the chocolate might be the way to go. So, I don't know where I was here. I don't know. I forget all kinds of things. Okay. Go down, pick up some blocks, and grab some more picks. Thank you again to Stoner Miner for having... Oops, that's what I want. The shulker farm. It is making a world of difference. Pickaxe, there we go. These are shovels. I don't want that. What's this? Shovels. Don't want that. Actually, one of these had odds and ends in it. I can't recall. It's not important. Okay. Pick. Of course, I said I wanted one thing, and then I go and grab something completely different. That's just the way I roll, right? Okay, let's get this and that, and this out of the way, and throw that one away. And let's move camp. And go after that chocolate stuff. Then I've just got a little of everything. Can I find a way to bring some over here? What would you want me to bring over there? Okay. Up. Up. Oh. Bed. Let's go here. Let's put down the shulker box there. Eroded Badlands. Huh. Wait a minute. Do I have somebody who just snuck up on me? I bet you I do. You found me. It's not hard to do. But thank you very much nonetheless. Besides, it is partially for your benefit that I'm not taking as long to mine things. Get that out of the way. Okay. Yep, busted. Hi there. Thank you, Brian. Do you want me to return it when I'm done? Yeah. So, I guess from one way of looking at it, Brian is saving your bacon as viewers, because then you don't have to see hours and hours of stone mining. Oops. So there we go. First of the chocolate ones. And I had nowhere to put it. You know what? Let's just throw this one. Light gray, orange, ready. Regular. Okay, let's put that one there. This one, I'll come back for it. And this one there. Down, 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 down. Wow, I just reminded myself of my father there. Sorry, just something the way he says down in one of his magic routines just totally occurred to me then. Down, 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 and there's our original Chino 4. It's not exactly one of those you had to be there moments. It's one of those things where you just wish that stuff would not stick in your mind. There we go. Chocolate. I have brown terracotta. Okay. This one, and that one. My head. And up. One. Okay. Now we can mine down from above. I want the yellow just because I'm up here. Maybe. Maybe not. Alright. No, leave it? Okay. Hopefully I'll pull enough down that you'll be able to see where I've been. Or more accurately, I can probably see where you've been. So, can't remember what I was going to say. Never mind. For those that are unaware, on the desktop version of the Twitch page that we can see, I've got a panel available with a vote for whatever Wednesdays. Now, I think the vast majority of those games should be able to be using the settings that I've finally got myself sorted out for on the setting I've got now. But barring anybody voting for anything different, whatever Wednesday will probably be Abduction. But because this Wednesday's stream was so absolutely terrible, I will be starting over the Abduction game, because we really only got maybe, practically maybe 10 minutes of game done at best, probably less. So there's really not much to lose to start over. And there's a couple of voice videos that happen towards the start of the game where the game wouldn't make much sense without them. Oh, I see. Okay, so I just wasn't in the right spot to be taking advantage of the beacon. Okay. That makes sense. So I could have mined the sand a little faster. Oh well. Live and learn. Really. Come on, Dylan. And down we go. Disadvantage to having multiple different colors is that I run out of space fairly quickly. Let's just put that one out of the road. Throw those up there. Okay. A couple of slots. I'll just get another shulker. It's probably easier. Sounds like you have, if you've been mining sand the whole season, that's not quite pounding sand, but the excitement of it is not a whole lot different. It's not quite like somebody said go pound sand or something nasty like that. But I'm not sure why you'd be mining sand for the whole season. Do you have a huge glass project coming up, or are you intending to replicate a temple? Oh, which does remind me of something else I've been meaning to design. So, because I've got a river, at some point I'll be building a river boat on said river, and that will be hopefully referencing Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie, with the, on my mind, very interesting Hercule Poirot. And yes, my French is absolutely dreadful. But in any case, that's the plan, is to try and see if I can build a riverboat on there, because that was the boat used in that particular novel, so. 119 boat chests, yeah. Boat chests, glasses, oh, right. Glass is bond-proof. That would be a very, very good reason for wanting large quantities of glass. Yeah, while running around my base, a lot of the time, I've been using wool just because it's easy to break and easy to like get lots of and stuff, easy to get rid of. But sometimes I forget that I should be using glass when I'm near my iron farm, and so I end up with golems outside the iron farm. I'm also still getting golems randomly showing up outside outside my library book. Not quite sure why that is. I've blocked off most of the villagers from being able to chat. Probably still because I've got a few of them loose inside the library book just so that they can, well, they're supposed to be breeding, but I swear, it's like boiling water, you know, they won't if you look at them. You know, actually would be mildly funny at some point if Mojang decided that they were going to get the villagers to want privacy for replicating just to troll the players. I don't think they would, because it's not really worth their time to put something like that into the game, but it would be kind of amusing. Glass closet causes client lag for you, Brian, or not Brian, sorry, Neon. Very sorry to hear that. Are we talking Bedrock, or are we talking Java, or does it not seem to matter? I did find, on the other hand, that sometimes certain packs that are trying to do connected textures can sometimes cause a little bit of client lag with the glass for me, but that's only when they've been trying to do the connected texture stuff, which may be different for your situation. So borderless glass, in those cases, would be a better route than having something do the connected texture mask. Right, I forgot that you're tablet only. That's... yeah, I've never tested that, to be honest with you. And down. Let's just do this. There. That's good enough. Alright. It's funny, I'm sure I've asked you that question at least twice before, but along with everything else, it's not one of those items I remember all that frequently. I think we brought this up before one time, but it reminds me a lot of Sherlock Holmes not remembering the Earth goes around the sun, because it just wasn't relevant to his line of work. So, I suppose me not remembering what some of my viewers play on is going to become more relevant over time, but wasn't up to this point, so I'm still training myself to remember those things. But that also makes me feel extra spoiled that I have Bedrock viewers watching what I'm up to, because there's nothing mind-blowing or groundbreaking that would be super inspirational to a lot of Bedrock players, and sometimes it's making use of the Java mechanics, so that it's not even something they could do on Bedrock. When playing Java, you don't expect Bedrock-only viewers. It depends. And yeah, as you say, Bedrock doesn't have connected textures per se, but I would not be surprised if someone along the lines of Foxy No Tail would be able to build an add-on of sorts where it could do that. I don't think it would be as useful because, in the grand scheme of things, there really aren't, in my mind, a whole lot of reason for connected textures. But in certain cases, it's nice to have connected because then you've got a 2-wide look or 3-wide look when doing a decoration. But in the grand scheme, I really don't mind the tiled look. But no, I see what you mean by not expecting Bedrock players. A lot of it is their style. I mean, their particular play version. Some people prefer to watch only people who play the platform they play. And I think that's you know, definitely a very valid way of playing. I watch both, partly because I play both, but also that sometimes it's just the ideas. And maybe if that's what one's there for, is the ideas, then it doesn't really matter which one, as long as the idea you're looking at doesn't make use of a mechanic that your particular version of the game can't play. Like, for example, I still really highly enjoy watching, say, Silent, or when I was playing Bedrock, I still enjoyed watching Avamance and Pixel Riffs, sometimes OMG Gaming, but a lot of that, you know, was completely useless to me in Bedrock, aside from the ideas that they were using. But now that I'm back to Java, I watch those players and I still find myself missing the stylings of some of the Bedrock ones, or seeing if Bedrock can do X, what can I come up with in Java that makes me satisfied that I captured the idea in the way that I was hoping to. Yeah, if it's a primarily technical stream, you certainly want to be watching the platform that you play, because there's really nothing more to it than the occasional familiarity of terminology and want of Charlie Brown's teacher. Otherwise. So anyways, where I was getting derailed to was, so for those of you that are able to see the desktop view of the Twitch pages, I really would like your opinion on whether or not any of those games do appeal, or whether or not Whatever Wednesdays appeal at all. And then promises this time, it will definitely be pre-tested over the weekend before I ever try a stream. Because, yeah, I took that last mistake a little bit personally. Didn't need to, I'm well aware of that, but it definitely bothered me, so I will be pre-testing things before I go live on that one. Because one of the things I had done was I honestly thought that I could actually clone the settings I had for Minecraft, and yeah, that's not the case, particularly in games that have different audio usages altogether. if you're on a mobile device, as some of you may be, sometimes you may need to ask it to show you the desktop page in order to see things. I don't know if it's got something to do with affiliate. If with my kind of luck, it might, but I do not know how yet how some of the other people on Twitch pages are changing the content in the About section to be very custom with different banner headers and things like that that will show up on any platform. So it just I either am blonde, and didn't see the setting, or it's just not something that I have access to yet. And provided that I don't scare everybody off, we're well over halfway to affiliate. So I don't expect to jump up to that anytime soon, but it is a good feeling to know that I've got more than myself and Fantastic Sherlock Fox being interested from time to time. Which page is a poll again? So if you go to the twitch.tv page for my channel, then under the About heading, if you're seeing the desktop page, it should show you a panel that has a vote section in the middle. I think it's black with a bunch of little vote buttons on it. Because even though I was having technical problems, I have not shut down that poll, and it did, or that vote, pardon me, and it did not require me to put in a time limit. So I just end it when I'm ready for it. And if there's anything there that that people definitely don't want to see, that might be worth messaging me about, just so that I can pull it off the list for next week. So I will be, after I've had a whatever Wednesday stream, I will be pulling or resetting the poll so that if people want to see more of it, they can vote for the same thing again. If they want to see something different instead, then they can vote for something different. And I was actually quite surprised to see a few people have found me on Twitter successfully, so that's good news. Oh, oh, you punk. Go away. No, you go away. Thank you. Anyway, so yeah, a few people have found me on Twitter. I actually have not posted much yet. It just occurred to me that I probably should be, and I'm going to look into setting, auto notifiers and that sort of jazz. But learning the ropes of everything slowly is the key here, because what I enjoy most is the actual gameplay. And if I wasn't streaming, I'd be just playing anyways. So getting the gameplay right is primary for me. So I have not actually got them posted yet, but the archives of valid streams up to end of yesterday will be posted to YouTube after this. So I'm going to try and post them in the correct order, but I will not be posting the ultra failed portion of the abduction game. Just that one didn't work too well, and if I'm going to be starting over anyways, there's no advantage to leaving the crummy one up. So those will be coming, and if you have any comments to make on anything at all, just feel free to either hit me up in an offline spot. Some of you can find me on Dadcraft73's Discord, and as I said, you can always hit me up by Twitter. You can always find me on... Oops, let's make sure I'm not going to fall off the edge here. Yeah. You can always find me in those ways, or you can email me direct. That's always a possibility. Just take out the underscore and add @gmail.com, and you can find me on that road as well. So comments, suggestions, criticism, always highly endorsed. I will be also working on updating the overlays this week, so that by next week they'll be having my Twitter on there as well, because I don't think I have that at this point in time. I think I just got the Twitch and the YouTube. And if there's a custom command that you'd like to see, feel free to send suggestions. There may be at some point, once I'm confident that the commands are working as intended. Don't really need those, no. I think they're starting to work as intended, but once I'm confident that they're fully working as intended, then I'm going to start adding points for getting the addition of your own custom sound. So it will be something rather I shouldn't say astronomical, but fairly high, just so we don't end up with too many of them at the early part of the game, because that's part of the world that I would like to have happen, but I also don't want to get overwhelmed by it all at once. Great way to say hello, though. Oh, hey Neon, were you able to find what you were looking for on that page? Oh, zombie. Go away. Thank you. Oh, no. Open the box. Don't shoot the box. Okay. And random bits and bobs in here. I don't think I'm needing these. Okay, let's just get some extra stuff out of the way. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not used to seeing anybody having the little control plus buttons. But that's just because I haven't done a whole lot of... Oh, would you please go away? I've done a whole lot of looking at it on my phone, to be honest. That's where I chat, so I don't think about the other features it has. But thanks for the reminder. That's something I'll take a look at this week and see how it actually appears to other people. More bones. Probably don't need 64 torches. We just deal with the 9 for now. Okay. If I can get any more before we wind our way down here. So I don't know how many of you caught it this morning, but I did do an impromptu abduction stream just to see how things were going. Feedback I got thus far is that it is improving, so we'll go with that for next week as my backup, unless somebody wants to vote for something different. Don't pick. There we go. But yeah, that's where I'm going to start with polls each week. For next week, I may, or any week that it's a brand new choice, I will definitely make sure I get the game tested in advance, but also once I've got things going, if I don't have an overlay ready for it, then the polls will be shut down on Tuesday morning, well before my, so not Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, well before my stream, so that I've got enough time to throw together the proper overlay for it. But otherwise, the poll for what to play that week, once everything has been tested, will be shut down right before I actually start the stream. And then, as quick as I can get it organized after stream, is where I'll put up the new one for the following week. And that's just so that you guys can have some choice of what you're going to watch on whatever Wednesdays, but it does give me a bit of a break from doing Minecraft. And then when I'm doing a lot of grinding of this kind of work, then that's not going to disrupt anybody. And I don't have a whole ton to prep for a lot of those whatever Wednesday games. Most of those are go with the flow types of games. So, yeah. So Brian Stoner Miner says he's going to make some noise. Well, good luck with that. I won't be hearing you. Just enjoy. I mean, are you going to be joining the trolls? Or a Disney reference. One of the things I miss about COVID is I used to do dance. I think I may have mentioned that in a previous stream. But I used to dance with a group doing what's called clogging. And I miss clogging. Oh, okay. Thank you very much for the compliment, Neon. I really appreciate that. He said, oh, he summoned a wither. He didn't just make some noise. He's going to drill some holes. So one of the things I miss about the world of COVID is that I miss my dance. The vast majority of the people who were part of this dance club actually were either middle-aged or more advanced in age. Like some of them are outright seniors. But I actually liked the chance to get out, stretch my legs, do something of a style of dance that not everybody can do right off the bat. I liked I actually quite like older songs. And even if it's some of the more new items, it's not always the newest, hottest, just out this week song because somebody has to take the time to write a dance for it. And there's more complicated steps to learn and so on. And sometimes there is a string of, I mean, for clogging in Canada and the US, there's a national dance set that they use. No, Neon, there is a 0% chance for me to fight the weather, particularly on stream. Well, okay, maybe not 0, we'll call it 1%. Dragons, sure. A dragon, I know can at least dodge for a while. Withers blow holes in things. Yeah. Anyway, at least this week there's a 0% chance. But I miss the older stuff, and sometimes you get songs off of the national dance set. So there's ones where it's designed for when group together so that they can now, in theory, know the same dances. And that way we can have a party where we just cue and do. So somebody cues the instructions to the steps for those that don't have the dance memorized. And you can just do. And then have a great lot of fun with, sometimes you get it right, sometimes you screw up a step and you end up on the wrong foot. But, so I miss the social aspect of it as well, because I used to go twice a year at least to conventions outside our city. Oh boy. You and your wither. I'm getting rubber banded now. Probably mostly my fault, to be honest with you. But yeah, so I used to go to a convention out in Nanaimo on the west coast of British Columbia. And I used to go to one in Edmonton, so I could have shown up on some of our friends' doorsteps. And then I would go to one in middle of BC. There used to be one in Lethbridge, south of me, which is in southern Alberta, Canada. But by not having the weekly meets, because we're just not allowed to have the people together in that larger group, it just means that it's more and more likely the longer this goes on that our plugging club, which is the only one of its kind in the city, is going to well, it has vanished, but that it shall not return, is my bet. I mean, our instructor is a retiree herself, and has some sciatica-related issues, as well as, of course, her and her husband are both getting up in years. So there's a point at which they're just not going to bother. The other part of it is that it's not a drop-in fee. We tried that. She was going to try and keep it being a drop-in fee so people could pay for all the weeks they come, not have to pay for the weeks they don't. But unfortunately, she actually had a problem where people weren't being fully honest on their IOUs. There could have been reasons for that, I don't know. But it just meant that she had to discontinue that feature of drop-in, because some weeks she would have such a low payout of people showing up that she actually wasn't able to cover the rent of the hall that week and had to pay more of it out of her own pocket. And I don't think that any instructor doing a volunteer situation, to be like a volunteer instructor for a volunteer class, because she's not getting paid, I don't think they should have to pay out of their pocket for anything other than, you know, like their own equipment if they want to, or if they want to upgrade something to a newer, hotter piece of gear or something. That's up to them. You know, it's nice if some of the club fees can help with that, but at minimum they should be able to cover the rent for the hall, and that was quite disappointing that our membership wasn't able to keep up on top of that. So what she ended up having to do was having it, what she called as sort of a pay forward and refund system. So what that basically meant was, for every half season session, which is usually like, 10 sessions long, 10 sessions long of her class, okay, then you would buy a pass for those 10 sessions. But if you didn't use up all of them, then whatever was remaining could go towards credit towards the pass for the next one. So you'd pay less for the next 10 session pass. And then when it came to be summer, or I guess spring, when we would quit for the summer season because people want to get out camping, hiking, trailering, etc., and aren't there all the time, then she would look at the sessions that a person hadn't used and credit them back entirely, so that she wouldn't have to worry about tracking it into the next fall. And so I guess it's one of those things where you miss the socialness. But I think the other thing I liked about clogging is a little bit like streaming. In some respects, you can talk about nothing for hours on end when what you've got in common is the dance. So kind of like with our streaming here, I can talk about not much of consequence. Oh, for... It's a Murgatroyd. Where are you? Okay, fine. So you can talk about not much of consequence for quite some time. Oh, go away! Why is my timing so off today? He's got... Well, he's toast. That's fine. I don't care. So we can talk about not much of consequence, but yet we have the game in common. So that is something that can hold us together, and we're not really... It's, in a way, it's like our own Diogenes club. We're like the social, the unsociable. And now that, please don't take that as offensive. I'm not trying to imply that all the people listening are unsociable, but what I do mean is that for those who don't want to be heavily sociable and have to know a lot about a person or get to know them really well, if you've got a situation like gaming, where most of the time you aren't going to be talking to people, and that's what you do for your own interest or pastime or whatever, and that's how you spend your time, then being able to have incredibly shallow conversation qualifies for the idea of being social, while at the same time means that you don't really have to be social in the sense that you get to know people. I mean, you can choose to get to know people. You can have real good friendships if you wish to meet, meet someone online more often and have those deeper, wider conversations. But you don't feel pressured into it, right? I mean, I don't expect any of the streamers that I watch regularly to have any clue what I do or any care either. Big or small. Pardon me, it's nice when they do. But in any case, as we're getting towards the end here, so I will be back. Let's try this. There we go. I will be back for another Minecraft stream on Tuesday. To borrow from our friends Batkrats and Batman. Same bat time, same bat channel. So my aim is to be 10 a.m. Mountain until 12 p.m. Mountain. So 10 a.m. to noon for a 2-hour stream on Tuesday. And then we're back for whatever Wednesday, same slot on Wednesday morning, and then more Minecraft again on Thursday. So I'm not really sure what's up at this point. We'll have to see how much grinding I get done on the weekend and how much design. But hopefully there'll be a project in the works. So, as always, I hope everybody has a really good week.
I've always wanted to use that spell.
Oh, and that didn't work, but that's okay. We'll wish you the best, and I'll see you again soon.
Mislift managed.
Laters!